Thank you, Hank. One thing I can tell you for sure, I'm going to walk very carefully down the stairs when I'm done because I don't want to fall. So real quickly, my mom is a crazy Yankee fan. Yeah, I was going to be named Yogi. I was going to be named Mickey. And thank goodness Roger Maris hit 61 home runs. Totally. So again, I'm very pleased to be here today here in Charlotte, and thank you for the invitation, and thank you all for coming. I'd particularly like to thank all the MassMutual policy owners and customers that are here, and all of the financial professionals who are either MassMutual career agents or broker business with us. You can see the light and become a career agent. Please talk to Tim Flanagan, our general agent here in Charlotte, at the end of the meeting about that. You know, MassMutual, obviously a New England company, but we've been very active here with Babson Capital. We had the good fortune to acquire that business when they had only 18 people here, and they now have over 125 in their offices, and very proud of what they do here in the community. We've also got 32,000 MassMutual policy owners here in the region, and we're thrilled to have so much business here. I'm an interesting person in the sense I've only worked for one company my entire career, and that is getting unusual these days. It's actually also the only company my father ever worked for. There was never any intention for me to kind of get into the business, but one of us has been working at MassMutual since 1964. So it's a great honor to be able to lead a company that's been around a long time, and that's so let me jump in here. I'm going to talk a little bit about who MassMutual is, a little bit about priorities for our business, and I'm going to leave some time for questions and answers as well. So let me start about who we are. We're an interesting company in that we are a mutual company, which means we don't have stockholders. We don't trade on the New York Stock Exchange or passenger exchanges these days because they're actually just computers talking to each other. We're actually owned by our policy owners, and we were started in 1851 in Springfield, Massachusetts, by the person you see here, George Russ. And George was actually an agent for Connecticut Mutual, and he was frustrated that Massachusetts didn't have a mutual life insurance company, but Connecticut did. He convinced 31 people in Springfield, Massachusetts to pool $100,000, at that point a fairly considerable amount of money, and started writing life insurance policies. And as hard as it is to be in business today, can you imagine when no one quite knew what a life insurance company was, and you would hop on your horse and head down the road and try to get people to pay premiums. So it's a pretty interesting concept, and it has served us incredibly well over a long period of time because we just have one set of masters policy owners, and we do not have to worry about who happens to own our stock as it trades thousands of times a day. Is what happens with stocks. So it lets us think about a long-term business in a long-term way, and that is just the way we go. Our purpose is to help people secure their future and protect the ones they love. Very basic, very simple. Anybody here who's had a situation in their family where a disability policy has helped, where a loved one has passed away, and there's been life insurance to help the family, anyone who's retired on terms they want to retire on, understands how powerful what we do is. And it's a very basic human need, and that makes me very proud to come to work every day. Our vision is simply to be the best company in our industry with respect to three things: financial strength, paying the best dividends that we can to our policyholders, and providing the best possible customer service. The U.S. government's making it interesting to decide what financial strength means, and we're not sure they're going to pay their debt as it comes due later this week. But regardless of whether they pay coupons on Thursday or not, MassMutual is going to be there for our policyholders, and that's very important to us. What makes MassMutual different than a lot of other companies in our industry is we've got what we call the secret sauce. And the secret sauce lets us pay some of the best dividends on our participating whole life insurance policies. And that really comes from businesses that we own. So, you know, you may have heard about MassMutual, but you may not know, for example, that we own Oppenheimer Funds, one of the largest mutual fund companies in the United States. We own Babson Capital, which I already mentioned. We own Barring Asset Management, headquartered in London. That we've got the 9th biggest retirement business in the United States. That we own insurance companies in Japan and Hong Kong that we run for the benefit of our policyholders and us. And that is a huge advantage because being diverse in business operations is one of the ways that you build financial strength over a long period of time. So we're very pleased how our portfolio of businesses has been performed. And we're a long-term business, but taking a look at how we've done recently over the last 5 years, we've done great. Our compound annual growth rate in our core whole life insurance business is up 13%. That is more than 3 times the industry growth rate. So we're very pleased to see that strength. Our retirement business has been growing even faster with a 28% annual growth rate over the last 5 years. And our total adjusted capital has grown at an 11% compound rate. And capital is the buffer we've got if bad things happen in the world. And unfortunately, we need to be prepared for bad things happening in the world. Also very proud that this year we'll pay out a record almost $1.4 billion in dividends to our participating policyholders. So the company is financially very strong, and its business has been growing through this downturn. And one of the big reasons for that is people realize if you're going to enter into a very long-term business arrangement, and just to give you an idea, we have almost 110,000 policyholders that have been with us 50 years or more. Right? So don't think about long-term being 5 years. Think about being 30, 40, 50 years. You want it to be with a company that's going to be there for the long term. We've also been active making sure that we're going to continue growing, and we made some great acquisitions last year. Far and away the biggest acquisition in the company's history was acquiring the Hartford's retirement plan business. And this is, I think, a great example of the difference between a mutual company and a stock company. I will never get a phone call that says Mr. Icahn is on line 2. Right? We don't have stock that trades. Okay? However, people who run the Hartford got a phone call saying Mr. Paulson's on line 2. And Mr. Paulson, who made a few $1 billion short in mortgages in the crisis, became the largest shareholder and said, I'd like to talk about shareholder value enhancement. But as policy owner, value enhancement was not part of that discussion. And it led to the Hartford deciding to sell its retirement business and its insurance business. We were able to buy the retirement business, which took us from 1.6 million customers to 3 million customers, which took us to be the 9th largest retirement plan provider in the country by number of participants, and particularly made us one of the biggest providers in the small business market, particularly businesses that have less than 25 employees. We think small business growth is going to be the thing that helps us get out of this economic malaise that we've been in. I'm sure everybody in this room is looking for more growth out of small businesses as well. So we were very excited about that. We also made 2 acquisitions in our asset management businesses, adding buying a company in Korea that gave us a fully licensed asset manager in Korea, part of our Barron's platform, and also a manager of master limited partnerships. These are the folks that own the pipelines that transport oil and natural gas around. So we think good companies need to be continuing to invest both organically and look at the market for opportunities. Financial strength, of course, lets you take advantage of opportunities. And we were really pleased to see Fortune survey come out. We moved up 27 spots to number 94 on the Fortune 100 list. But even prouder from my perspective, in the world, we were ranked the 3rd most admired life insurance company and the most admired mutual life insurance company. So really proud to see Fortune magazine give us those honors. Of course, it's easy sometimes to look at kind of growth in sales and earnings and see how you're doing on the Fortune list and you feel good, but I think it's even more important to remember what we do every day for our policy owners. We paid out $2.8 billion in claims last year. And again, every one of these claims went to a family at a time of challenge in their life. We crossed over $500 billion of global life insurance in force. And we also ended the year with over $70 billion in retirement savings. January 1st is when the Hartford deal closed, over $130 billion in retirement savings right now. And again, more and more Americans are realizing what's happening with Detroit going into bankruptcy. It's called Central Falls, Rhode Island being in bankruptcy, Stockton, California in bankruptcy, maybe the U.S. government not paying its bills. You need to take care of your own financial future. And we think we are very well positioned to help Americans with that. We're also pleased that everywhere we are in the country, we're active in investing in our communities, and particularly here in Charlotte, so we've had a long history. We've donated over $150,000 simply through our matching gift program. We still think one of the best ways to have our employees be active is to match their charitable contributions, with over $60,000 of that coming right here in Charlotte. We also provide free life insurance to low-income families. We provided over $7 million of free life insurance to low-income families here in Charlotte. In fact, we're attempting to give away $1 billion of free life insurance. It's actually harder to do than you might expect. But we are making progress and thrilled that we've been able to help here in Charlotte as well. And Tim and your agents have been very powerful on that, so thank you. We've also been, through Babson Capital, the title sponsor for the Hope Builders 5K the last 6 years. In fact, I think that's coming up this weekend. I was with the Babson folks last night, and there's lots of side wagers about who's going to contribute more to the Levine Children's Hospital, depending on who runs the race faster. We raised $66,000 for the Levine Children's Hospital last year. And we've also been very active with the Uptown YMCA. So thrilled to see that we are active here in the Charlotte community. So let's kind of shift gears a little bit and talk about what are the priorities for our business. And I think the most important thing as I think about it is recognizing that people need solutions to their problems. As an industry, I would argue, we've made it very difficult sometimes to do business with us. So we're trying to think, how can we be easier to do business with? Because people just want solutions. And the reality is, this device has changed everything. People expect to be able to, in no time, get information about things. I can push a button and I can have something literally delivered tomorrow morning to my house. The combination of Apple and Amazon is very powerful. So that is a big focus for us. So what are the things that we're looking at out there? I don't have to tell you, it is an uncertain environment. I can't even actually believe, did anyone see the press conference? Right? The closed doors, out comes the Speaker of the House of Representatives. He had nothing new to say. Right? We're going to run out of arm in 48 hours. It's truly, it's almost, I can't even believe it. Well, I guess we're going to see what's going to happen on Thursday, but the shooting ourselves in the foot, or as one of my friends said, potentially shooting ourselves in the head, simply by not agreeing to pay the bills that we've already racked up, is just kind of stunning to me. So, but that's not complicated enough. The challenges we've got with the Middle East continue. Is it stunning to anybody else that Putin came to the rescue in Syria? Kind of stunning to me. But now Syria is kind of off the front page. But we still have to deal with the realities of the nuclear program in Iran. We've got to deal with the nuclear North Korea. We're going to continue to see international volatility from those areas. Europe's banks are still in deep trouble. Japan is trying, we have debt problems, by the way. Their debt for GDP is over 2.5 times what ours is. So the global environment is going to stay very unsettled, and I think the only conclusion a business person can have is the U.S. government is going to stay very unsettled for a period here as well. We also have an unfortunate situation which actually creates, I think, a great business opportunity for us, is America is vastly underprepared and underinsured. In fact, life insurance ownership is at a 50-year low in the United States. 35 million households have no insurance protection whatsoever. I just had a situation in my family, extended family, where someone in their late 40s passed away with no life insurance, and they actually thought that Social Security was going to pay something. And Social Security pays a death benefit of a couple of $100. So it's stunning. And savings are Americans are woefully undersaved. In fact, 57% of the country has less than $25,000 in 401k plans. I don't have to tell anybody here, if you take a look at how long you can live on $25,000 as retirement savings, it's a challenge. So it's an important time, I think, for Americans to begin planning for their own financial futures. We did a survey and found that 75% of American families said that it's important to educate their children on finances. I'm not sure what the other 25% were thinking, actually. This wasn't a reality TV show. This was real life. It's a good idea for your kids to know more about finances. So at least we got 75%. But it is a huge problem, and it is also a huge opportunity. The other huge opportunity is how the face of America is changing right before our eyes. The majority of children born in this country today are not going to be white. Right? So somewhere between 2030 and 2040, the majority of the country is not going to be white for the first time in the country's history. We all know about the coming demographic change with people getting older. Demographics are very easy in that sense because no one turns 62 who wasn't 61 on it. We don't invent 62-year-olds out of the air. Now, we do have immigration, another place where the government has done a great job of doing nothing. But without immigration, you can't change. The destiny is written, right? But what is changing is the number of women who are graduating from college. Right now, the majority of college applicants are women, the majority of college graduates are women, the majority of small business owners are women. Interestingly enough, Hispanic America on a standalone basis is the 18th biggest country in the world from a GDP perspective. Hispanic America's GDP is growing as fast as China's, so more than twice the rate of the United States. So every business person here, if you do not have a strategy about how to think about the changing face of America, I would suggest to you in your 10 or 20-year plan, you should be thinking about that. MassMutual's been focused in this area. I tried to set a tone from the top. We're one of a handful of very large public companies that has 4 women on their board. Half of our board are people of color or women. And we've tripled our sales of life insurance in multicultural markets just in the last 5 years. So we think the business opportunity is real. The other thing we're thinking about, I kind of mentioned how these devices have changed everything, is change customers' expectations. Simply put, it may not be enough for us, or I suggest to many of you, to be better than who you think your competitors are, right? Because it's the competitor who is the new entrant to the market that you have to worry about. And again, if you take a look at what's happened in the newspaper business, what's happened in the record business, what's happening in the book published business, technology has totally revamped those industries. So if you don't know about how new entrants may be threatening whatever you do, I suggest that you give that a lot of thought. So we're spending a lot of time thinking about how to respond to customers' changing expectations. Of course, technology and regulation haven't caught up. We figured out the phone. That was good. We just figured out email. Right? But in a highly regulated industry, figuring out how do you deal with Twitter posts is frankly a challenge. Facebook is a challenge. But we are working hard on that. And we recognize that we need to deal with customers the way they want to be dealt with, not the way we want to deal with them. It's the old joke, this would be a great business if it weren't for customers. Remember, there is no top line without customers. So I think that's very important as well. And then we always go back and say to ourselves, it is all about the customers for us. I'll close with one story before questions. I said we're a long-term business. Last year, MassMutual's oldest living policy owner passed away. She was 108 years old. She bought her policy when she was 17 years old in 1922. Okay? So it's interesting if you think about someone who's with you 91 years, and look what the definition of long-term means. Go back to 1922, we did a little bit of poking. Very proud to see the work you're doing to eradicate polio around the world. In 1922, polio was a dread disease in the United States. You would burn your kids' toys if there was a polio outbreak. You wouldn't let them go into a local pool. Electricity was a lot of places. There was lots of the country that still didn't have electricity. You got an infection? We did not invent antibiotics yet. That was a real problem if you got an infection of any kind before the invention of penicillin. So in one person's lifetime, before we even get to computers and going to the moon and having a black man be president and other things that have happened in this country, it's just absolutely stunning. So we always remind ourselves we're doing things not just for our current policy owners, but the generation beyond and the generation beyond that. So again, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. I think we've got a few minutes for questions. Yes, sir.
Curious, your one